Today we've got something that's been causing a stir, a book that's been whispered around in the corners of the internet. As a young man, you might be wondering why you feel constant apathy, no motivation, zero desire to do something productive. Conventional advice to increase your testosterone levels is to work out, sleep well, improve your diet. Nonetheless, testosterone levels are now 3 times lower than that of our ancestors, and the levels keep decreasing, studies show. Don't get me wrong, these things work. But what if I told you there might be something that's destroying your testosterone levels and health passively, without even your realization? What if I told you there are some weird chemicals that might be killing you from the inside? I've finished reading the book Estrogeneration: How Estrogenics Are Making You Fat, Sick and Infertile. This book completely changed the way I look at things. It destroyed my trust in the healthcare system. It destroyed my trust in the governmental laws. The book challenges conventional wisdom, so it might seem extreme and disturbing for some people. But let me give you a snippet from the book to prove my point. The book is essentially about the estrogenics, which is a family of compound chemicals that mimic the behavior of estrogens that is naturally produced in your body. So basically, estrogenics are artificial estrogens. One such estrogenic is atrazine. Decades of studies, hundreds of studies show that it's increasing cancer rates among people. It's decreasing testosterone levels. It's increasing infertility rates among people, both in male and female. And for your reference, atrazine is completely banned in the European Union, which means trying to sell it or use it for commercial purposes will get you in jail. And you know what's interesting? It is completely legal to be used in USA. So if you're a US citizen, the fruits you're eating, the vegetables you're eating are all covered in this terrible chemical atrazine. By the way, atrazine is a pesticide, which is the most popular pesticide in the USA. All your vegetables, all your fruits are covered in this horrible, poisonous estrogenic. This alone should make you wonder, should I trust these stupid laws and the healthcare system that's trying to poison you? I will save your time and summarize the book for you. But if you have spare time and energy, absolutely go read the book. You might be wondering, if the government knows these things are hazardous for your health, they're toxic, why it doesn't ban them? And the book answers these questions. And as you have already seen with atrazine, governments do not care. But first, let me go through the list of 10 estrogenics that were discussed in the book. The first one is BPA, which is found in plastics. And the second one is phthalates, which is also found in plastics. So you can think about it in this way. Imagine you're making a butter chicken, and the chicken is the main ingredient. The same way, BPA is the main ingredient for making plastics, and phthalates are like salt for your butter chicken. So phthalates are like salt in the main dish, and BPA is like the main ingredient. So BPA is chicken, phthalates is salt. But phthalates is equally as unhealthy as BPA. So again, hundreds of studies show reduced testosterone, increased cancer rates, and all these terrible things. The third thing is phytoestrogenics, which is mainly lavender and soybean. You might think, oh, but lavender is a natural plant. Why would it be so terrible for your health? So let me give you this one study where teenagers were chronically exposed to lavender every day. And the study found that around 80% of the teenagers, male teenagers, grew men boobs. Literally, they grew titties because of chronic exposure to lavender. And the second thing is soybean products. Anything that contains soy is terrible for you. It's literally poison. Don't drink soy milk. Don't eat soy products. And the problem is most of the products in the market contain some level of soy in them. So be careful when you buy something. Read the description and be sure that there is no soy in your product. The fourth one is E22. It's found in the contraceptives that women drink. And how is that related to us young men? It's simple. E22 gets into the water system when women take a pee. So since our waters are filtrated and get back to us from the canalization, basically E22 is still in the water, in your drinking tap water. The filtration system is good for killing viruses and bacteria, but this E22 hormone is like really small, so it passes through the filter system. The sixth one is atrazine. We already discussed about this. The seventh one is red color 40 and 32. It's a coloring that is added in factory foods. I mean processed foods, chips and all these things, which makes food look delicious. Because without this coloring, your foods that you buy in your supermarket might look like a brown mush. But since I add colorings, it's more appealing for the customer. And it's already been shown to literally kill you. Parabens are used for fragrances. And benzophenone is a sunscreen estrogenics. And the last one is APA and triclosan, which is used for soap. If these things are so deadly for the human health, you might be asking, why are they not banned already? And to summarize all the intricate arguments that the book provided, I will give you one hypothetical situation to illustrate the gravity of the situation. Let's say I am the CEO of some large milk corporation. So I try to make the milk product that my corporation produces as appealing as possible. So what I do? I hire 3 researchers, 3 smart scientists who are experts in dietology or whatever, and I allocate them a large budget. But to receive my budget to conduct a research, they must sign a contract, which gives me absolute power on whether they will be allowed to publish the research. So basically I control whether the research will be published or not. And I can specify in the contract some restrictions that will bias the research. Now let's look from the scientist guy perspective. So let's say you're the researcher, and the book shows that your career as a researcher largely depends on the quantity of the researchers you conduct rather than quality. So it's better to publish them 10 low quality research than 1 really high quality research. Like 10 research will be much more valuable for your career. So literally the way they climb the career ladder is through making a lot of research. And one thing to keep in mind is that conducting research is quite expensive. It requires major funding, and it's really hard to get any funding at all. So researchers are usually bound by these contracts, and they can do the research the way they want to do. So let's get back to the situation where I'm the CEO. So I give them a large budget, let's say $500,000, to prove that milk is really beneficial for children or whatever. Then they make a research. They find out that the milk that my company produces actually destroys the health of young children. Then what do? I refuse to publish the research. I give them more funding and say, do it one more time. Then they do it one more time and then find out mild benefits but more cancer effects than benefits. Then I say to them, do it one more time again. And I keep telling them to do it until I get the result I want. And if you have some knowledge about research, you know that there is some random factor in doing the research. So basically, if you conduct 1,000 research about smoking and how it affects your lungs, at least one research will find no correlation between lung cancer and smoking. So I'm just trying to find this research where milk is only beneficial rather than harmful for the people. And another thing to keep in mind is that these researchers understand that I'm trying to force them to make a positive research about my product. So since they desire to be published because their careers depend on it, they might try to fabricate the results to suit my interests as a CEO of the milk company. So by the end of it, I have this large research that scientists confirm the positive effects of my milk on children. Large corporations will literally do anything to increase their profit margins and to reduce their costs. They don't care about your health. If it takes some cheap, weird chemical to destroy their competition, they will go for it. They really don't care about your health. And you might say, why doesn't government protect us? That's because they're heavily influenced by these corporations. As you already know, the politicians get their funding for campaigns from these rich guys that run these rich big corporations. So of course they have say in the laws that the government takes. And I think it's common sense that the richest people in the world are like friends among each other, so they help out each other. That's why atrazine is still not banned in the US, even though the government already knows its terrible effects, its hazardous and poisonous effects on its population. They do not ban it because the corporations pressure these politicians to postpone the implementation of these banning laws. Because atrazine is profitable, it's cheap and effective. That's why they still use it. With all the knowledge now you're equipped with, imagine the scenario of you drinking the milk. This milk was produced by a cow that was fed with moldy grains. And mold is estrogenic, as I already told you. So it's literally eating moldy grains, and the farm, it's a corporation farm. It's filled with all the other weird chemicals that are not even discussed in the book. The factory is filled with plastics, and this cow is producing this terrible quality milk filled with estrogenics. And then this milk is processed one more time in the factory where it's near the plastic, and it gets heated, and heating the plastics makes it 100 times worse. And this terrible product gets into the grocery store where you buy it and drink happily. What do you think happens to your health when you drink this milk? And now on the steps on how to avoid the estrogenics in your life. The first thing you can do is stop buying dairy products. You should buy exclusively from glass bottles, and the milk should be from the farms, or it should have this sign that it's from the grass-fed cows, which were not fed this moldy ass grains. The second thing you can do is get rid of the plastic bottles, plastic utensils, plastic dishes all throughout your home that you use every day. You should exclusively use the dishes that are made of ceramic, made of glass, or made of stainless steel. The third step you can do is buy a water filter. The filter specifically should be charcoal filter. So coal has this property of absorbing estrogenics. The fourth thing you can do is get rid of body fat, because your fat is a source, like estrogenics get attached to fat easily. So by this logic, the extension of this logic is that the less fat you have, the less estrogenics are in your body right now, because they get attached to the fat. They like fat. The next step is avoid hitting plastics, because it makes them 100 times worse, even if you are still for some reason using plastics. The best case scenario is to stop using them at all, but if for some reason, let's say, you have to use the plastic dish to heat your food, don't put it in the microwave at least. The fifth step is buy fragrance-free soaps and shampoo. Me, for example, I just use water for washing my body, because these shampoos are terrible for your health and well-being. When you take a shampoo, you should read the ingredient list, and when you see some weird chemical, E205 for example, you have no idea what is that, it's better not to buy the shampoo. Every ingredient in the list has to be something you understand, like lemon juice or some blueberries, I don't know. The next step is try to buy organic vegetables, because the pesticides and all the other processing that the regular vegetables and fruits get is terrible. It's just literally poison. And the last thing you can do is use baking soda instead of washing powder. Like, you wear your clothes that were washed with this weird powder filled with estrogenics, and you wear your clothes every day, so you get this small dose of poison on your body every day. Please don't neglect this advice, and don't underestimate the effects of estrogenics on your health. This might prove to be the most important thing for you to become a successful man, for you to become a fulfilled, happy, strong man. I believe every young man should pay absolute attention to estrogenics, because they're destroying your testosterone, your health, and possibly your future child. Stay healthy.